In 2010, researchers working at Higashi Pharmaceutical stumbled upon a compound with the ability to activate once living tissue. This breakthrough cell therapy could pave the way for reversing the effects of dementia, Alzheimer's, or even paralysis. During routine lab testing, a fire broke out in the lab, igniting the compound, turning it into an aerosol. Firefighters venting the lab to draw out the smoke and prevent further ignition were uninformed of the compound and broke the hermetic seal of the secured lab, sending the now airborne particles into the open air. As the desert winds pushed the airborne compound north, a decision was made not to make a statement to the public and bury the story of the fire. Local residents were left unaware of the dangerous substance drifting in the air. Weeks passed and the number of reported illnesses continued to climb. Most people presented with cold-like symptoms and were told they could only take medication to fight the symptoms and wait it out. Hospitals were filling to capacity and the sick started dying. The death toll continued to rise while hospital staff worked around the clock trying to treat the sick and dying. Body bags lined the sidewalks, and new patients were turned away with no hope but to wait it out in their homes. 7 days after the first patient's death, hospital staff reported instances of movement from the corpses in the morgue, but it was brushed away as hallucinations of an exhausted staff. Within hours, dozens of reports of patients that were once dead were now walking around. Their movements mechanical, almost if by muscle memory, but behind their lifeless eyes was a look of determination as they attacked anything that moved in their line of sight. Weeks turned into months as the number of living was now vastly overshadowed by the dead, with no sign of slowing down as more and more towns were overrun. Once infected, it seemed a person had a week, or 7 days, to die. Within a week of their death, they were reanimated and joined the thousands of others aimlessly wandering the area. While the compound traveled via air, it also seemed that it was transferred by the already infected by means of biting or scratching as well. It seemed some of us had a natural immunity to the virus and were unaffected, so we locked ourselves in our houses and hoped to wait it out. Law enforcement tried to stop the undead, but there was no negotiating and their efforts failed as the number of undead increased by the hundreds. Military personnel were dispatched to contain the outbreak, but they too were overwhelmed and forced to fall back. It was clear that standard protocol was no longer an option. The tough decision was made to neutralize the threat on a large-scale level. A ballistic missile containing thermite plasma was launched from the Red Mesa military facility in hopes of eliminating the massive number of affected. It was believed the high temperature that thermite burned would not only eliminate the undead wandering the streets, but kill the virus as well and prevent further spreading. The primary target area was reduced to rubble, leaving the remains a wasteland where neighborhoods once stood. The attack was unsuccessful in eliminating the threat. The fallout from the nuclear attack created a dead zone around the area. High levels of radiation prevented anyone from getting in and none of us from getting out. Years have passed, and the few of us that survived the infection and the military force are now left to fend for ourselves. Our friends and loved ones roaming the streets as shells of their former selves. During the day, the dead seem to move slower and are more docile, so we scavenge nearby houses and shops for supplies to keep going. Once night comes, they seem to almost grow feral and are more erratic, so we return to the safety of our hiding spots, hoping the bodies below don't notice us. How long before we run out of food? Will the dead take us too? No. We are survivors. This is our world, and we will take it back.